Hi guys. So we were talking about how do you pick a country? Because if we are talking about money, is 2026 the right time for you to move? The question even is, should you be moving to Gambia? Or should you go to Nigeria? Or should you go to Ghana or Kenya or all the other places? And so we're talking about why Gambia or how do you pick a country? Okay. So I wanted to screen share. I wanted to talk through how we decided on Gambia, whether we'll still recommend Gambia. Then we can talk about numbers and all the things, right? Just a chit chat, deep dive. Hopefully, it helps you think about the decision. But the first thing when we are talking about moving back to Africa is where do we move? So we have people in different categories. You have people who are from the continent, like I'm from Cameroon. And a lot of the time, people assume that if they're from a place, they need to move to that place. Now, ideally, if you can do that, that's great. But for some people, moving home is the reason why they're not moving in the first place because of whatever reason. Maybe it's too much expectation from the family. Maybe the political situation is complicated in your home country. Maybe you just don't want to move there. Maybe you just don't like your home country. And so I want you to know that that's okay. Okay? I want you to know that you don't have to relocate to your home country. We didn't move back to Cameroon for many, many reasons, but we didn't. So the first question when you're thinking about is 2026, you're here to relocate. The first question is where should you move to? Okay. And so when we Google, I'm going to share my screen. Is it okay for us to have like an actual working session, a deep dive? And the goal here is to help you see how our family went about deciding to move, but most importantly, where and will we still recommend? Okay, will we still recommend the Gambia? And the process I walk people through too when they're talking about and thinking about whether it's thinking about starting a business as a business coach or even thinking about moving and relocating. So I'm going to share my screen and I'll walk you through how I think about it so that you can finally stop just saying, I want to move, but you can have a plan. Okay, so when we are talking about moving, it's great, but where do you go to? So I Googled earlier, like the top places that people want to move to in 2026 that they're Googling and looking up. And the top countries, guys, are Kenya, Rwanda, Ghana, South Africa. Gambia is not even on the list, okay? These are the top countries that people are looking at. Gambia is not even here. So you have to figure out what's important to you. For us, when we looked at it, was things like, in terms of coming up with the top choices, were things like the language was important to us, right? So there's French, there's English, mostly spoken on most of the continent. So you got to determine based on where you're coming from, do you want to deal with language barrier? Okay, that's one thing that you probably want to think about. Culture, you want to think about that. If you're not relocating to your country, what culture do you want? There are countries that are mostly Muslims, there are countries that are mostly Christians. What type of culture do you like? All the things you want to think through that. You want to think about your reason for moving. Okay. Are you moving to retire, right? So you want to chill? Are you moving to invest and make money? Okay. Are you moving for love? I don't know. What are your reasons for moving? Because if you are moving to invest, that matters because now you start thinking about what countries allow you to invest easily. And so when you start thinking through the list, okay, when you start thinking through these four countries, again, Gambia is not on this list of the popular places that people want to go to. Gambia is not on the list. This is not according to me, this is according to Google. Okay, I did a quick Google search earlier, and the top places people are looking at is here. So if you're looking to invest, you want to start asking yourself, how easy is it for me to invest in Kenya? How easy is it for me to invest in Rwanda? How easy is it for me to invest in Ghana, South Africa? Mhm. Things like opening up a bank account, and do you need a partner to start a business? So some of the questions that you probably come up is, oops, do you need a local partner, right, to start a business in that country? Okay. How easy is it to get your permanent residency. I can't even, okay. Am I writing this right? Okay. Then see, in that country, all those things really come under like if you're saying I want to invest. If you're saying you want to relax, then okay, perfect. So you're looking for more chill, or if you want to retire, let's go to retire. You want to retire, then you are on your income is fixed. So cost of living becomes a priority. So you start making your list, and maybe probably health, right? Like how is the health sector in that country? If you are older and your health is a thing that you are concerned about, so all of that start moving this list up and down for you. It should. Okay. So when people are asking, where should I move to? It's an interesting question, but it depends. Okay. It matters in your decision. If you are coming with a family, so moving with a family, then now how is the educational system? So if you're retiring, it doesn't matter how the educational system is because you're not going to school, you don't have kids going to school. So you want to make your list of what is important to you. And it also even matter how long do you plan on being in the country So like, is it 9 months at a time? Is it all year? Is it just the summer? Okay. All of that really comes into the decision of where you're going to go. So these countries, so if you go down the list now and we look at the most popular countries that people want to move to, so these were the top countries according to Google. Okay. So this is according to Google, not me. Okay. According to data. You have these countries, okay? So now, let's say we look at Ghana. I've been to Ghana. I love Ghana. Ghana was high on my list of places. My brother went to school, to medical school in Ghana. So I really enjoy Ghana. But when you are thinking about moving, it's not about what you enjoy. I enjoy Paris, but I don't pay any bills when I go to Paris because my sister lives there, right? So where you go for vacation is not, that's not how you determine. How you determine where you're going to go to visit for vacation is not how you determine where you're going to go to move or to retire or to invest. These are different lenses that you have to use. So if we use Ghana, for example, okay, and you say, Sam, you like Ghana. Great. I also love Ghana. So I'm going to stop sharing here and I want to show you something. So I also really like Ghana. And you are thinking about what's important to you. And cost of living and finance should be, is, I mean, unless you are Bill Gates, which great, but I'm sure even for Bill Gates, money is a thing that he considers. So if you Google, and we want to just compare, right? My husband hates when somebody just does what I'm about to do, but that's how my brain works. Okay, guys. So if we go back to our list here of what we are doing and we are gauging where we want to move to, we want to look at, so if we start talking expenses, okay? Your biggest expense is rent most of the time, okay? That's where a lot of your budget goes, is rent. So if you want to look at how much is rent for a 3 bedroom, let me stop sharing, okay? Let me go back and share my screen so we can take a look at it. Okay. On this website in Accra. So this is Accra, we want a 3 bedroom. Yeah, 3 baths, okay, in Accra. Let's see what that brings us up to. Okay, and these are houses for rent. So this is a nice house, isn't it? This is a good house. We like it. I like it. Just from the first picture, it's modern. Where is it in Accra? This is in East Legon. So Legon, that's a nice neighborhood. It's posh, it's cute or whatever. So this is your 3 bedroom. Nice. It looks clean. Home, right? So this is a 3 bedroom. So if you're a family, I'm looking at a 3 bedroom because if you're a family of, I don't know, like, I think it's an average size for a home. So this is it, okay? The rent here is $1,500 a month. Can you guys see that? And a lot of the time in Africa, you need to pay for the year. So it's $1,500, 1,500 US dollars a month. That's the rent. Okay. So that's your biggest expense here. So this is Accra. Now, if you're looking for a 3 bedroom house, rent in, let me do Dakar, because I don't know. Let's assume we're looking at Dakar, because at least I know neighborhoods in Dakar a little bit. South Africa, I've not been. So let's see. 3 bedroom, Dakar, rent, price on demand, beautiful, villa for rent. Dakar Amadi is it's a very good neighborhood. Okay, it probably is like East Legon. All right. Oh, but this is a huge house, guys. Okay, hold on. So that's not a good comparison because this is big. Let's see. Compared to the other one, yeah, I know this is too big compared to the other one. And are these 3 bedrooms? No. Residence, rental. Why can't I see number of bedrooms? Okay, I don't like this website, guys. Okay, hold on. Let's look at Ivory Coast is French. French Africa, guys. They speak French in Ivory Coast. Nice, really nice, developed, really nice. Like I could live in Ivory Coast. Okay, this is probably closer to what we saw in Accra. I mean, the neighborhood is not giving, but how much is this there? 32. What's the price? It doesn't tell. 200 mètres carrés. Okay, it doesn't tell you how much. Okay, it doesn't tell you how much. So I don't know. I can't compare this. Sorry, guys. But let's look at Accra then, because Accra, at least we had data. Okay. So you have this house in Accra for $1,500. Okay. You can get 4 times this size in Gambia for $600, $700. Okay. For half the price. So you start to look at what is important for you. Now, can you compare Accra to Gambia in terms of development? No, at all. Because when you're looking at what Accra has for itself, let me pull this up. Accra, Ghana, I mean, has development, right? Has activities. The reason why it's top of the list for so many people is English speaking, okay? Easy to access, okay? Lots of development happening, okay? The people are nice, it's pretty safe. All right, so there's a lot of reasons why people want to move to Ghana. Like it's really pretty, guys. Like it looks nice. Depending on what it is that now it's getting expensive, more it's expensive. Okay? Because that house that we saw is the same house that you can find in Arkansas, Ohio for that price, if not less. And that's one of the shocker for a lot of people when they're considering Africa. They assume like, oh, I can just pay whatever. And then they realize, no, 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 no. I'm gonna pay $1,500 a month. That's just on rent. And I'm not making, because if you're moving, the question is how you're making your money. So it's not unless your job is moving with you, how do you make if $1,500 is spent just on rent? And let's just say that you spend $300, let's just say you spend 300 or $500 on all your other bills, that means you need $2,000. So for a lot of people, the question becomes with any of these countries, Gambia included, how do you make your money? But that's a different conversation for a different day. That's not what we're talking about here today. Okay. What we are talking about is how do you make your decision? If this is helping so far, guys, oh, 100% understand why Nigeria is not on the list. Why is Nigeria not on the list? Is it because of the safety? Anyway, I like Nigeria. I could move to Nigeria, to be quite honest with you. But let me tell you what I want you to think about. When we are talking about business, right? So we are talking about make money in Africa. Okay. So when we are talking about, let's say you are moving to Africa, you are young, you are vibrant, and so you are moving for the business opportunities. That's one of your reasons. Okay, one of the reasons why you are moving is you want to tap into the business opportunities happening in Africa. By the way, there are so many of them. Okay, there are so many of them. There are other things. So it's a great place. Yes, it's a great place to raise your kids. Blah blah blah. Blah, lots of reasons. But let's just say that you are moving for the business opportunities. Anytime you are looking to start a business, you want to go. You want to be an early adapter. Okay, you want to be an early adapter, meaning, so think about it. When Uber, okay, when Uber came into the marketplace, they were the first. There had been taxis, but the idea of using your car to do taxi and having strangers drive you around was new. Uber was the first to market. And so, because they were first to market, the people that invested in Uber initially at first are making money. So, you always want, if you can, to be an early adapter, right? Meaning now everybody wants to go to Ghana, but nobody was thinking about Ghana 20 years ago. But now, so people who bought their properties in Ghana early made money. So, let me give you an example, another example. When I was a kid, when I was about 7 years old, we moved to a neighborhood called Santa Barbara in Douala. Okay? Santa Barbara in Douala had, in my neighborhood, maybe there were 10 houses. Okay? Today, and I don't know what comes up when you look, if you Google Santa Barbara. Okay? I have no clue. I've never Googled it. But today, there are so many houses in Santa Barbara that you can't even buy land. All right. You can no longer buy land. And I'm sure that if you're listening, you know these stories. You can think about stories like that of maybe your village or your town, how it was before everybody discovered it. Okay. So Santa Barbara is now so booked that I mean, you can't even buy. So what my father was telling me is one of his biggest mistake was not buying a bigger lot. And when he moved to Santa Barbara, people asked him, why would you go that far? Okay. Have you lost your mind? No one will visit you. Why not somewhere closer? Okay. These are the questions that people ask him. And I'm sure people ask the same question to anybody that invested in Uber and invested in Facebook and all these ideas that were new to crypto and all these things that were new. But the early adapter are people that are risk taker. Because let's be real, when he bought here, he had no idea that Santa Barbara would become what it was. He was gambling. He was taking a gamble on his money. When we are talking about moving, you are talking about taking a gamble on your life and your money. So if I put here reasons why people never move, okay, let's put here reason why people will never move. Okay, because it's a gamble, right? If you agree that it's a gamble, let me know, guys. Put gamble in the chat. But it's a gamble. Moving, taking a leap of faith is a gamble. So when he took his gamble with his house, okay, people literally thought he had lost his mind. But today, the same plot, let's assume that he's paid 5K. Let's just assume that he paid 5K for his plot. If he was selling that plot, he probably can sell it for probably 100K today. All right. So you want to ask yourself, am I an early adapter, or otherwise, simple English, am I a risk taker? And so what we are finding is the people that are relocating and investing on the continent are risk takers. They're absolutely risk takers. So are you a risk taker? Because if you're not a risk taker, this becomes challenging. You might end up going to places that people have taken enough risk that it has become a good idea. So places like Ghana, but you can see it wasn't $1,500 a month 15 years ago to rent in Accra. So we are talking about Accra. This is in Accra, right? There are other places in Ghana where it's not that price. Okay. So the question is, are you a risk taker or are you somebody who waits for opportunity and other people to take the risk, validate the market? Okay. Because the risk takers are taking the risk to validate the idea of the market. Okay. So are you going to wait? Because what happens is if when you wait, which there's no right or wrong, okay, it's just who are you? By the time you wait, you are now paying 100K. Okay. You are now paying 100K when people like my father are making $95,000. Which one are you? And knowing that matters because it will determine where you move. So why Gambia? Gambia because it's not on this list, right? For us, Gambia because it's not on this list. And because it's not on the top four list of places people want to move to, what people consider the con for us became pros. So if we're talking about the con of Gambia, the first thing is it's very small. I like that. So you can look at it that way, or you can look at how I want you to start thinking about investment. The pro of it being small, guys, is that it means you can meet anybody. Hold on, I'm trying to see how to do that. Okay, hold on. Let me move this. Let's do this. It means, let me move this here like this. So it's small. Guys, is this helping? If it's helping you, please give me thumbs up. All right, give me thumbs up and I'll answer questions. So when we are talking about then, okay, people are saying, oh, Gambia is so small. Why Gambia? Why would you move to Gambia? Why not this place and the other? That is small. For me, yes, it's small, but the pro of that is I can meet anyone, anytime. I can get a meeting with, so today we met with the number one construction company in Gambia. Number one. I don't think there's anybody bigger when it comes to building. Okay. They reached out and we met with them. If I was in Nigeria, do you know what it would take for me to meet the number one construction company in the country? Do you know what I would need to do? Right? It will be more challenging. If I'm in the US and I've lived in the US, for me to meet anyone at any time is, I mean, good luck. So the con of it's small, the pro of that, if you're thinking through the lens of an investor, okay, is you can meet anyone at any time, president, minister, director, you name it, you can meet them at anyone at any time because you are probably 2 or 3 degrees, right, removed from that connection. So that's one thing. The con here is food is being imported, right? So food is expensive. That's very true. Okay. We just looked on Google and I think it said more than 50%, but I think it's higher than that of food in Gambia being imported. That's true. The other way you can look at it is sure, that's a reality. So that means there's a lot of opportunity for manufacturing, great opportunities for farming and manufacturing. Do you see that? Are you understanding how what one person says is a problem is another person opportunity? And so when you are thinking about moving, again, it depends on why you're moving. If you're moving to retire, listen, the list is different. We need to look at the beach, right? How far are the beaches from here? Why is the raining season so long? So why the Gambia? Because nobody is looking at it. Because no one is talking about it. Okay? Meaning there's still a lot of opportunities. So that means lots of untapped opportunities, which means that if you started something like, let's say, for example, when we started a security company, you could easily, you are one of 30 security companies in the country. And so the idea that you could become top five is not difficult to imagine compared to being somewhere where there's five 50,000. I don't know how many security companies are in Nigeria, but 50,000. So again, it depends on why are you moving, how are you looking at things, okay? Matters. So you can say, well, Sandra, the educational system is not where it needs to be. So con maybe educational system, which means there's room for you to start a school. The few people that I know that have schools here, there's somebody I know that started a Montessori school. She's so booked that she's not taking in new students, that you have to apply. Like she has to interview. Even if she's going to take somebody, she has to interview them. So again, how do you look at it? What's your appetite for risk taking? Okay. What is your appetite for risk taking and why are you moving in the first place? Some people don't want to be bothered. Okay. The reason why people are moving to Bali, they're not trying to fix Bali. They are looking for, they're digital nomad and they're looking for a place that is as cheap as possible with as strong and good internet as possible so they can live their best life. They're not going there to invest. So they are looking at it differently. So we want to be clear around why are we moving? It goes back to that question that I asked, which is if you go back up here, is you got to be clear on the reasons why you are moving. Okay. What are the reasons? Some people are moving just because they want peace. They want peace. And so if peace is something you want, then Gambia is a great place. Because one of the pros of Gambia that we can put here on the pro is peace. Gambia is an extremely peaceful country. Plus, plus, plus. Like that's one of the shining features of Gambia. The people are extremely nice. I can't say that of Cameroon. Okay, but that's on that list. So you're not going to get everything on your list. It's like buying a house. If you've ever bought a house, you know that you cannot, I don't care if you're a multimillionaire, you're not going to get everything that's on your list. And so prioritizing what's on your list becomes important, but we got to know why. If this is helping, let me know, guys. Is this helpful? So, why the Gambia for us was the untapped opportunities that we could meet anyone at any time, that there were great opportunities for farming, manufacturing, business in general, real estate. So, I mean, there was just opportunities that there's room, like here, room to start a school because the educational system, the peace of mind, the people are extremely nice. It was an easy introduction or reintroduction to the continent for us. All right. So that's why the Gambia. Now, there are trade-offs that you have to make. So can I move to Nigeria and pay less rent? Probably. Can I even be in Gambia and pay less rent? Let me ask you this. Where you live right now, are there not people paying less rent? So if you're in Texas watching me right now, are there not people in certain neighborhood paying less rent than you do? I'm sure there is. So cheap doesn't always mean better. And so when we are talking about the expenses, it's important to put it in context. All right. It's important to put it in context because, like I said, there are people that are moving to Accra and paying more rent than they would in Ohio. But they don't mind because they're not just looking at the rent. All right. They are looking at peace of mind. They are looking at lifestyle. They are looking at the education they want for their kids. So where people say, I push back when people say, hey, I'm moving because it's cheap. It can't be the only reason because there might be a time where actually being in Africa is more expensive than being abroad. And so you got to really look at your reasons. Now, the other thing about Gambia that I found out today, speaking to that developer, was the when you are investing in land, according to him, right? Investing in the right real estate opportunity in Gambia. Okay. According to him, one of his properties that they built and sold 4 years ago. So 4 years ago, They're saying that if somebody bought a thing for like a 3 bedroom or an yeah, 3 bedroom condo for 100K 4 years ago in one of their property, today they're selling it for 140K. Okay, so that's 40% more in 4 years. That's the appreciation, according to him. According to him, if you are looking at short-term rental in one of their properties, you can make your money back within 7 years. Okay, so this same guy that spent 100K, all right, can make, oops, sorry, can make his 100K back in rent, in short term. So this is short term rental, okay, guys? This is Airbnb and things like that in 7 years. All right. So you do the math and you start looking at, okay, is Africa a place where you should be investing your money? All right. Is Africa a place where you should be investing your money? Let me stop sharing here for a minute, answer your questions. But I wanted to outline it because I want to make sure that you are making this decision not just based on like people say it's nice. A lot of places are nice. America is very nice. The UK is very nice. Paris is very nice. But that we look deeper than that so that we are making these decisions having a fuller picture. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to the channel, all the things. Share this with your friends. When somebody's telling you, I'm thinking about moving, hold. Let me just share this link because I don't want to hear about it anymore. So if somebody sent you this link, it means it's time for you to make a decision. They were too polite to tell you, and they were like, just watch this girl, look at that list, and make a decision. Okay? So make a decision and let us know about it in the chat. Thank you guys for watching. Have an amazing rest of your week, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Stay blessed. Bye, guys. Bye.